Reasons the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine are failing. Before Donald Trump became the president of USA, he promised, in fact, he bragged he would stop Russo-Ukraine war within 24 hours of his presidency. And my friends, it's been over 130 days since Trump assumed power, and the war is still on, and the war is threatening to escalate further. So what are the hindrances preventing ceasefire or stoppage of Russo-Ukraine war? I will give you several reasons, but before that, like and subscribe. Thanks. The first reason is lack of pragmatism. Ukraine and its Western backers are clearly living in a fantasy world because up till now, they somehow believe they can push Russia out of Ukraine territory Russia have conquered, whereas in reality, they did not only fail to even halt Russia's advance all over the war front. Rather, Russia is advancing steadily and rapidly in some fronts. They also failed to recognize the sheer power of Russia's industrial complex. Russia have outproduced Ukraine and its Western backers in terms of military equipment. Yet, Ukraine and Western propaganda platform seems to be caught in their own lies. Second reason is too much bad blood. This is a bit funny and sad because Ukraine and Russia have Slavic roots or are Slavic brothers, and Putin, president of Russia, said he viewed the war between Russia and Ukraine as a civil war. But all this being said, Western Ukraine does not recognize itself as a Slavic nation. They don't want to be under Russia's influence or have anything serious to do with Russia, and NATO is taking advantage of that by luring them to join NATO and EU, which means NATO missiles will be stationed in close proximity near Russia once Ukraine is a NATO member, and this is a great security concern for Russia, and obviously Russia will not accept this. And another kicker the West is hiding from you is that in this same Ukraine of a country, the eastern part of Ukraine, that's Zaporizhia, Luhansk, Donetsk and Donbass, also doesn't want anything to do with the West. They want to be under Russia's influence because they share almost the same thing with Russia: religion, similar language, culture and the rest. All these opposite ones led to a serious bad blood and civil war, Russia choosing to support the eastern side of Ukraine, while the West chose to support the western part. Third reason is lack of trust. This dates as far as 1989, during the unification of Germany, when the West or NATO promised the Soviet Union to allow them to unify Germany, that they would not expand eastward. The then Soviet leader, Gorbachev, believed and accepted NATO request. Germany was unified. The coming year, Soviet Union was dissolved. Few years later, NATO broke their promise and began expanding eastward. Now they are bordering Russia via Finland and are trying to lure Ukraine. Also, before the Ukraine war broke out, Russia, Ukraine, Germany, France and Britain signed Minsk Agreement in Belarus in 2014 in order to stop the civil war between Ukraine government and the Donetsk People's Republic in eastern Ukraine. Ukraine government violated the agreement. In fact, German Chancellor then, Angela Merkel, admitted the Minsk Agreement was a delay tactic in order to delay Russia's intervention in the civil war, and trained and equipped Ukrainian military to fight the Russians. Ukraine is blaming Russia too for interfering in their government and violating their sovereignty. When the war began in 2022, February 24th, at the early months, they almost signed a ceasefire agreement in Istanbul. Russia even withdrew its forces from Kyiv, Ukraine capital, as a sign of goodwill. But Boris Johnson, UK's Prime Minister then, convinced the Ukraine government to abandon the peace agreement and fight to the last Ukrainian. So you can see a lot of back and front and distrust too. If you are interested in geopolitics and wants to know the full story of Ukraine and Russia's war, I have tagged a video I made about it. Also follow me for more geopolitical analysis. Thanks.